Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, it's Dimma here. So this is going to be my first Q&A this year. I told you guys to ask me questions on Instagram as usual, and you guys left quite a few questions. I did this last year and I really enjoyed answering the questions, and you guys asked some really exciting stuff I didn't even know you wanted to know. So I was like, I'm going to start this year with a new one and try to do more throughout the course of the year. I'm going to try to answer everything. A lot of the questions were like, people kept asking the same questions over and over. So I'll just probably answer them once and not, I don't know, because I got over 500 questions, guys. So we can't answer 500 questions in this video. So the first question I have here is kind of work related, and it's from Afri Zini. And she asks, on testing the products of a paying brand, you realize that they are subpar. What do you do? I won't push it. And this is me keeping it 100. I already said this, I think, in a video that I put out last year, like towards the end of last year. I think the video about brands I stopped supporting or something, like it was a tag. And in that tag, I answered this question. And the truth is, I won't push it. If their products are really crappy, because I had a situation like that last year. Like I've had a couple of them. But I remember the most recent one, I remember that they sent it, and I swatched the products and they were bad, and I knew that there was no way I could come on here and say that they were good. I just emailed them and they were asking me to send an invoice, and I was like, see, your products are not that great and I'm not comfortable like promoting them right now. And they were like, okay, that's fine. And they were really nice and polite about it. They told me that they'd taken what I had said as feedback. Guys, please don't, because a brand is paying now, that's not enough for you to lie. Just the way I look at it is, more business is going to come. If I don't work with A, I'll probably end up working with B. I've said no to things that were so huge and so big sometimes that you're like, when will I ever get something like this? And God is amazing, because next month you get another email very similar, if not better than that one. So guys, don't lie. This is from Teresa, and she's like, are you ever going to feature Chimamanda on your channel? Hey God, that's if I don't faint in the process, but I don't know. Maybe in the future, I'll never say never. I am open to it. God, the universe, please. Yeah, I hope it happens one day. So the next one is, how many piercings do you have? I actually don't have a lot of piercings. I think I have about 5 piercings in total. The first 2 that I have on my ears here, I got it when I was a baby. Then I got an extra one when I got 2 extra ones when I was in uni. And then the last one I got sometime in 2011. I can't remember when, but yeah, I have about 5 piercings in total. So this next one is from Teresa, and it's, how often do you get the when will you marry question and what's your best reply? To be honest, I don't get it a lot. I actually don't. And it's not like I'm extra special or anything. It's just that I've made a conscious effort to distance myself from people who move mad like that. If my parents and my immediate family members, my lovers, like the people who are inside my heart, are not stressing my life, nobody has the right. What I get sometimes though is, oh, we're praying for you and I hope you meet a nice person soon. Or I'm praying for like the best husband for you, praying for that, like that's good, but then when will you marry? It's such a stupid question to ask someone. So this one is from Enina123, and he's like, do you still keep in touch with your exes, or do you let thunder fire all of them? The honest to God truth is that I haven't had a lot of like messy breakups. I don't even think that I have had one that I'd say is messy. I feel like everybody just goes their way peacefully. So if I do run into them, we're mostly cordial and there's like a hi and everybody's facing their front. However, I think that there's one person that I know that if I saw him in public, I will not talk to him. I don't care what he's trying to say to me, period. Okay, so another question from Enina, and he asks, what's your favorite color? I honestly don't even think that I have a favorite color now. Early on in this channel, I used to say purple a lot, so you guys knew that that was my favorite color. Right now, I don't even know what it is. But I realized, I think 2 or 3 years ago, that I was gravitating a lot towards the color teal. I wouldn't still say that it's my favorite color, but it's still a color at this point I think makes me happy. Yeah, because I gravitate towards it a lot these days, but I don't think I call it my favorite color. Next one again is, where's the one place in this whole world that you haven't been to but would love to go to? I'd love to go to Paris. I'd love to go to Paris, but then I just don't want to go to Paris. I want to go to Paris well. Does that make sense? The next one is, do you love me? Because I love you. Oh, this is by Fire by CC. My baby girl, you know I love you. The next one is from Diamond CC, and she asks, what is your biggest challenge as a YouTuber and influencer, and what do you do to defeat that? I feel like the one I think I'm struggling with most, or I've kind of also talked about it, I think late last year up until now, I've just been struggling a bit with motivation, just like staying motivated to film, or just, I feel like sometimes filming you have to be in the right mental space, and I kind of struggled with that a little bit late last year. But then that's it. Every other thing is kind of generic and kind of something that is common with a lot of people here. Internet, you know, the things that light, you know, the things that I've talked about here before, but what I just explained now has been my biggest challenge of recent. The next one is from Oma Blaze. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely am I to get $10,000 from you? I want to spoil myself. This is my sister and she's not okay. The next one is from Nedusus, and she asks, hello Dimma, I read a lot and I know you do too. What's your favorite book of all time? That's a very, very tough question. I especially love African literature. So one of my favorite books of all time is Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Adichie, and then it's a very close tie, or just holds the same position with Purple Hibiscus for different reasons. Those two books are so different, the stories are so different, but then Purple Hibiscus tugs at your heartstrings in a way that I can't really begin to describe. And then because Half of a Yellow Sun tells the story of Biafra so well, I think it has a special place in my heart as well. It tells it in a way that makes it relatable, because I feel like a lot of the authors who told stories about Biafra, or who have written stories about Biafra, you know, I've read some by Chinua, they really, to a large extent sometimes, I think they didn't really write it for our generation. They are timeless stories, but then Chimamanda, I don't know, the way she wrote Half of a Yellow Sun, I think that she brought it down to a level that people who had never heard about that war understood it deeply. And then I loved Trevor Noah's Born a Crime. I loved it. Loved it so much. It's a really good book if you've not read that. So next one is from Asha Kine, and he asks, if YouTube/content creation didn't cut it for you, would you have settled for a 9 to 5? Maybe. Okay, so if Nigeria was a sane country, I would have done history or something history related. I love history so much, and I love the past. My favorite genre of books, I don't even love contemporary books as much as I love books that tell stories of things that happened even like maybe before I was born. So I love history a lot, okay? And that's the only way that I feel like I'm getting my fix now. If this country was sane, I probably have studied something that had to do with arts and history. And then if we had good museums and we actually put effort into conserving history and documenting history, I'd probably be working in a museum or something. Either that, or at this point, I love expressing myself creatively now. So if YouTube, for some reason, I wake up and say I'm not doing it again, then I'll probably move on to interior design, because I love designing spaces. Next one is how do you connect very well with your audience? I think that I just try to be myself and keep it relatable and just want people to come. For me, more than anything now, like I know that I'll do things to keep you guys entertained, but I'm happy that I've actually gotten to a point now where people actually come back to the channel for me. And that's the most important thing. And I think it goes to every content creator out there. You want people to come back to your channel for you. So try to be yourself as much as possible. Keep it real, keep it relatable. I think that it works. And this question was from Nadarkoa_. Next one is from Zainab Sharif, and she asks, did you ever experience an identity crisis when you started as a YouTuber? How did you deal with it? Yes, I did, to it's just a very slight degree, because I was very, very conscious. I've said before how conscious I was about the way I sounded here. And around the time I started YouTube, there weren't a lot of people doing YouTube like me. A lot of the black people on YouTube sounded very foreign. They didn't sound Nigerian or African. And I went through this phase, YouTube, I think I never actually spoke the way that a lot of you would consider funny, but then I went through this phase where I sounded almost robotic here on YouTube, and I just felt like I wasn't. Every time I listened to those videos or the voiceovers that I did, I just cringe a little bit, because I feel like this isn't me. So I went through a phase where I tried to find this balance. At a point I was like, okay, I'm just going to sound like myself and hope that people understand me. And that's what I did. The next one is from Lorraine Shu. And she asks, Dimma, how can I stand out as a content creator in a country where YouTube is not very popular? I think that it's actually a lot easier for you to stand out if YouTube is not that popular. I feel like it's you trying to figure out what is your value proposition. I feel like tackle it the way you tackle business. From a business point of view, what is the value that you're bringing? What is it that you think that people want to see, but there's no one doing right now? And that was how I thought when I started my channel. I think that people are gradually getting onto it. Around the time I started YouTube wasn't popular here. Right now, a lot of people are getting into it. A lot of people are watching it. So I think that you actually have an opportunity to do something special now, considering the fact that a lot of people are not doing it. So I think you should just start something. And we spend a lot of time thinking of starting that we don't actually start. So I'll say just start it and let the reaction, people's reaction, let that dictate what you do next. And take constructive criticism, be consistent, and try to promote your YouTube videos on other social media platforms where you have following. So the next one is, what would you tell a 23-year-old trying to find a way to stand out and take up space? I'd just say start talking. If you know the way it's doing you in your mind, if you know what you feel, if you know what you want, I need you to start expressing yourself as much as you can. And I'm going to say why I'm saying this. Just reading this out, I just remembered when I was 23, and in all honesty, I don't necessarily think that I was where I needed to be, you know. And that was around the time I think I started finding my voice. I started doing things that I wanted. I started figuring out things that I wanted. I started trying to express myself. That was around the time I started my YouTube channel as well. That was around the time that I started trying to tell my parents what I wanted to do with my life, with a lot of kickback. And because I was so used to, like, I was conditioned to fold. You don't talk over certain things. You don't talk over people in certain situations. You don't tell people what you want. You don't insist on things when no has been said to you. You're a girl. So around the time I hit 24, 25, and there was this fire burning in my soul. And I just wish I had had it earlier. So I started being a lot more vocal. I remember when I started getting into arguments with my dad. My dad would be like, what has gotten into you? Why are you thinking these things? Why are you wanting these things? But the truth is that there are things that I have always wanted, but I would never, or I was so conscious, I just made a conscious effort not to even let it on. So he was so shocked. So please, as early as possible, I want you to start letting people around you, be it friends, family members, express yourselves. Start expressing yourself, start saying things that you want, insist on things that you believe in, express on them. You know, if you believe in something when you're 23, it's always okay to change your mind a few years later. That's okay. But then if you know what you want, where you are at that point in your life, I want you to start talking about it more. I want you to start insisting on things. I want you to learn to start expressing yourself a lot better. That's the way you take up space. Insist on things. Say what's on your mind. Don't let what people will think about you just stifle. No. Oh, okay. So that one was nailed by Ko Ali, I think. I hope I pronounced that right. The next one is by DMC by Tamara, and she's, when trying to grow your channel in the early days, did you put ads in blogs? Spend on marketing? I actually did not do this, but I use Instagram a lot and I use other social media a lot to promote my content. One good thing I'd say is try to collaborate. Collaboration is good. If you can find people you can collaborate with from the onset, but I feel like for you to even make yourself appealing to others when it comes to collaboration, you have to have put in work. So I'd say just be consistent. I didn't use mainstream ads, or I didn't promote myself through other people. So the next one is from Ijoma Ayodeji, and she asks, what keeps you going? So many things keep me going. Family, loved ones, my dreams, my hopes, the things that I want to achieve for myself. God also, like just knowing how much he loves me and how much work I believe he has put into me, that like I have a responsibility with my life. What do you do when you feel disconnected from people or things around you? What I personally do most of the time is that I kind of take some time out I kind of unplug. I know that that's weird. When you're feeling disconnected, you try to disconnect yourself from more people. But then that's the only way that I feel like I know how to process things. So I kind of move back, not in a way that cuts everybody off, because they are not the problem. You know, it's not like I hate them. But what I try to do is I try to figure out what the issue is, and I try to reflect, and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? Because a lot of the times we're feeling things that we don't address, and it's making us feel other things. So I try to find out why I am feeling how I am feeling. So that's what I do. And I just give myself maybe a day or two, and before you know it, like I kind of know, okay, this is the root of my problem and this is what I should address. The next one is from Moyo_, and she said, have you considered creating your own merchandise, whether makeup or lifestyle products? Guys, I have, and I'm working on things that I can't even talk about right now. But I told you guys last year that this was something that I strongly, like, really interested in. So you guys should just keep your eyes on this channel. The next one is, do you have a vision board? What are your thoughts on creating one? I don't have a vision board. I'm not a big fan of them. Not like there's anything wrong with them, but I feel like maybe with the way that I process things, I don't know, I just don't see the need for vision. For me, not for everybody, but they don't just work for me, I think. So yeah, that's all I'd say. But do they work great for a lot of other people that I know? Yes. And that question was from Dr. Mel's. Okay, so the next one is from Dr. Zani Edinika. I hope I pronounced that right. And she asks, would you consider visiting Zimbabwe? I'd love to meet you one day, guys. I would love to visit Zimbabwe. I love to travel to as much of Africa as I can. It's not the easiest most times, but guys, I would love to go to I'd love to go to Zimbabwe, and hopefully it happens soon. So the next question is from Sebole Felicia, and she asks, what is the one verse you live by? And it's Jeremiah 29:11. I used to have like a print of it in my old room. I remember showing you guys when I used to live in my old place, and it's, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans to bring you prosperity and not disaster. Plans to give you the future you hope for. That's not very accurate, but the verses are along those lines, and I love it. Depending on what version, it reads differently. But yeah, that's my favorite, and that's what I live by. So every time things kind of go bad, I remind myself, this is not it. You know, me and God, we have an agreement. The next one is from Labisi_store, and she says, please, can you make a video about brushes? They are confusing. I actually have a video. I think I need to move. I actually have a video dedicated to brushes on this channel. I'm going to have it linked in the description box. Please check that out. It might also pop out on the screen or pop up on the screen. I did it about 2 years ago, but it's still very, very relevant. So if you're a newbie and you don't know how to use brushes and you find them confusing, that video breaks it down well. The next question is from Katex C92, and she asks, have you always been this bold/articulate about feminism, or has it grown on you over time? It has grown on me over time. I feel like the older you get and the more you understand that nobody's paying your rent, and the more it dawns on you that, like, you don't really owe a lot of people anything, and no matter how you try to tone things down, people are still going to say what they want to say. The moment you start living your life for you, you will know that really, if he's doing you like this, say how he's doing you. So I think I just gradually grew into it. So the next one is from Share_, and she asks, hi Dimma, when you get sad or you feel like you're getting depressed, what do you do? I honestly just take a break, because I feel like most of the times when I feel like that, like 70% of the time, I think that it's tied to stress. For me, I think most of the time. So what I do is I try to take a break. Next one is from Katex C92, and she says, do you ever feel the pressure to be/act a certain way because you're the firstborn? Guys, I literally grew up with that type of pressure. I grew up with the fact, because I've told you guys before, I am the first of 7 children, and being the first daughter, like an Ada in a family, like a big family, it comes with a lot of responsibility. So for a very, very long time, and we had more girls than boys, like we had just 2 boys in my house. Like, I was made conscious of so many things. You couldn't do this, you couldn't talk to this person, you couldn't stay out past 6 p.m, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do so many things, because it's one thing, you know, sometimes parents tell you things because they're like, oh, this is what we feel you should do. But then there are points where some of the things that were expected of me, it wasn't even really because my parents wanted is just because, oh, you have so many people looking up to you, so you have to be a certain way. So that pressure is real. The next one is from ___ me, I think. What's your advice for a young upcoming YouTuber? I'd say be consistent. Put effort into quality. Think hard about the type of videos you want to put out. Carve out a niche for yourself first. Don't just start posting videos on YouTube because you want to. A lot of us who are doing multiple things, and we actually didn't start out like that. I know a lot of people who do cooking, who started out with cooking and branched into lifestyle. A lot of people like me started with beauty and sometimes fashion and branched into lifestyle. So I think it always helps when you have a core, because it helps you kind of just figure out what you want to do at first, and then from the way people react and what they start asking for, you begin to look for ways to diversify. But carve out a niche for yourself first. I'd say be consistent, put effort into quality. Consistency matters a lot. You don't put out one video and because it got maybe 500 views, you're like, oh, nobody likes me, they don't want to watch my videos. Just keep doing it, and before you know it, it takes just one viral video. One. So the next one is from Beauty F Uchi, and she asked, do you think being on YouTube has any effect on being or on having or being in a relationship? And I don't think so. I know people who are big on YouTube who are in very good relationships, who are married. I feel like it's about meeting someone who loves you, understands you. First of all, you don't want somebody who is managing you, because first of all, if the person is managing you, everything becomes a problem. That's number one. So you guys have to really like each other. The feeling has to be mutual. And like I said, I know people who have very private relationships who are very big on YouTube still. I don't think that it's something that should get in the way. That's one. And then two, knowing what you guys like. If you like privacy, he likes privacy. That's amazing. If you are not like that big on privacy and he's big on privacy, you guys will have to have a conversation around that. Just try to figure out what works. Unless if it's a family channel and you guys just want to show each other, then it's an agreement that you guys have. I'm personally very private. Told you guys this before. I understand where this question might be coming from, but I think that you guys as a couple would have to discuss what you want and what you like and what you don't like. But then should someone make you feel a certain way or not worthy of a relationship because you're on YouTube, then the person is a joker. Sharon D. Zapasi, and she asks, do pineapples belong on pizza? No. The next is by Mansha _Brie, and she asks, when are you coming to South Africa? You and I need to meet up, to be honest. Soon. I hope I come to South Africa soon. So I'll let you guys know. So the next question is from Modukbetemi _Ola, and she says, what was the best thing that happened to you professionally last year? And guys, I traveled a lot with brands last year. I traveled last year more than I have ever traveled in my life. And they were mostly, like 90% of them were sponsored trips by brands. My tickets, accommodation, feeding, everything was paid for. So I did the one trip I think that stands out. I kind of documented all of them, so you guys saw them. But I went to Cannes last year with YouTube, and the trip was sponsored. It was just the experience, like the whole thing was like it makes you you kind of hear people saying you're doing a good job, but then it's one thing that people that you're working on their platform kind of tells you you're doing a good job. So they flew me and my sister to Cannes. So the flight was nice. They flew us to Cannes, business class, hotel, nice hotel. They just treated us well. We had drivers everywhere we wanted to go. You just make a call. It was such a I just felt so bougie. So I think that was a very big highlight. But then outside of that treatment, it was the platform the panel they had put me on to speak on, talking from a Nigerian perspective. I covered diversity for them. That was a very big highlight for me. YouTube Black was also one. There were just a bunch of them. I'm hoping that this year tops last year. But my trip to Cannes, I feel like every time people try to get me to say, out of all the trips that I took last year, which one stood out the most, I think that going to Cannes with YouTube is way up there. Next one is from _Immaculata. I think my throat is getting dry. She says, what are the conscious steps you take to get better every year? I try as much as possible to just put in more work, to look at what I have done so far, how well I did the previous year, in terms of growth, in terms of output, in terms of feedback, in terms of earnings. And then I just try to double that most of the time. That's really the most straightforward, because it involves a lot of planning and you reviewing what did well and what didn't do well, right? It's looking at everything individually, but in a very like wholesome way as well. Does that make sense? And try to double the good, the positives, and then try to reduce the negatives as well. Take conscious steps to make sure that the things that didn't do so well, try to figure out why they didn't do well, and try to do less of that, if that makes sense. Next question is from Lionel_Black, and it's, how are you able to combine film and other occasions? I plan. Planning is key. If you don't plan, every small thing will scatter every small thing. So the next one is, do you still receive allowance from your parents, or you live mainly on work? I don't receive any allowance from my parents again. I feel like after I moved to Lagos in 2000, like the last allowance I'd say that I was receiving was when I was in uni. That was the last time I said that anybody was looking at my face to give me anything constantly. But no, I don't receive allowance from them, not anymore. The next one is from Fabulous Beauty Store, and she's, how do you do all the things you do and still have time for you? How are you able to manage your time? This is a very important question, and sometimes I feel like I live, breathe, work. What I'm also trying to do now, I feel like I say this every year and I kind of fail woefully at it, is to try as much as possible not to work during the weekends, to try to stop working on Friday. It doesn't matter where I stopped. I'm literally filming this video on a Saturday. Am I doing great? No. But that's what I'm trying to do, because I really want my weekends to be my own this year. I'm really working on that. Honestly, my weekend would have been mine this weekend if I didn't have some issues. Like 3 days ago, I started looking for something and I couldn't find it for like 2-3 days. I've still not found it now, and it kind of just upset everything that I had planned. But planning helps a lot. I'm trying to just plug out Friday. I don't care who sends an email. I don't care what I haven't finished editing. Friday night, 7 p.m., I want to stop working. I hope that I'm able to do that this year, please. The next is from Ingo_A. Would you do a siblings tag for us? I want to meet all your siblings. I really want to, but there are a lot of them and they're in different places. So I'll try and see. The next one is from I_Vicky. And she says, I am a nursing student, but I love the media. How can I start my passions and I still love the medicals? I think you should talk to Yuki. Yuki is someone who is doing this like amazing. She's in nursing school and she has an amazing channel. Her channel quality, everything. Yuki does not do anything by half. So if you're someone who is in the medical field and you like your field, but then you also like this, I think you should really start watching Yuki, watch her videos, the videos that she has done covering this, and then also reach out to her as well. This is from _Soala_, and she says, it's not a question, but I love you. Thank you so much. I love you too. The next is from Kilnalma_Bashman, and she says, when are you coming to South Africa? Please come Wethu. I don't know what Wethu means, but I'm going to come soon. Okay, so this is from Maxtona24, and she asks, how are you flawless every day? Tips on presenting yourself well. I'm actually not flawless every day. I put an effort whenever I try to come on here, but I am not flawless every day. But then I don't know, I feel like with me, where I am in my life now, I feel like for a very, very long time, and I think that this might sound like nonsense to some people, but I think it's actually true. Even for a very long period of time doing YouTube here, I honestly did not think that I was, like, I wouldn't say that I thought I was ugly, but then I didn't consider myself a fine girl. Please, everybody, before you attack me, listen, I actually didn't. And I think that it shows itself in in so many other ways that you don't know. I think, and I don't want to say that this is only an age thing, I think that I got to a point in my life where I actually started looking at myself in the mirror without the makeup, without the anything, and I'm like, Kai, you're fine, right? And I feel like the minute I genuinely started believing it not just because it's one thing that people keep telling you you're fine, but then you don't believe it. The minute you actually start believing it, I feel like there's this change. Like, there's this confidence that comes with it. So I think that I am at a place in my life where I actually think that I'm a fine girl. I don't know if that sounds corny, because honestly, you guys know me well enough to know that I'm very shy and I'm not corny, but then there are a lot of things that I don't worry about anymore. Like, I don't worry to death about so many things. I leave the house 90% of the time, even to attend meetings, I don't have makeup on. You're looking at me, I'm looking at you. I think that I'm gracing you with my skin. So I think that the minute you actually start thinking whatever it is that you think is quite not good enough, the minute you actually work on letting yourself know that that is okay, and whatever, that you're beautiful, people can also start telling as well. In short, people even start telling you you're more fine. Does that make sense? The next one is from Nancy _ Nnamdi, and she says, how do you separate personal relationship from business? Money? It used to be very hard. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't know why I just said money immediately, but it used to be very hard. People who expect you to kind of do things for them because like you know them for free, the energy is different when it's their turn. Like, money is not something that you mess around with. You have bills to pay and all of that. And I honestly feel that if someone is your friend, you support their business. You don't keep asking them to do things for free. I've said this here before. If your friend sells things, buy stuff from her. If she has a service, try to patronize her as often as you can. I know that it might not be something that you might be able to do all the time, but as much as you can. But don't even, like, I don't ask my friends for discounts. Like, I'd rather pay full price for whatever it is, because I know that I am supporting them. The money is going to them and going to their business. The next one is from MS _ WSI, and it's, hi Dimma, how do you edit your photos? I edit my photos with Adobe Lightroom. The next is, what's your dream man? We all go through these lists of saying this and that and that. If you're not a demon, let's start from there. You see, my list is not long. Somebody who's not a chronic liar, someone who tells the truth, somebody that does not make you question your position in their lives. That's a good one. What was the last thing I wanted to say? I wanted to say something. Somebody who says that they will do something and they do it. That's also a very good one. Yeah. Next one is from I am Summer. So I _ am _ Summer. How were you convinced that YouTube was what you would do full time? Did you foresee it taking you places? Yes, I did. But it wasn't like me kind of dreaming or in a very spiritual way. It was me monitoring closely people who had already been doing it at the time and seeing just where it was taking them. I was like, I want to do this. How do you handle the pressure to get married? Guys, I have an entire video on marriage. I think you should watch that. I'm going to have it linked. But the truth is just, please don't let anybody pressure you, or don't let anyone force you or pressure you into a situation that you regret for the rest of your life. Marriage is good. However, it's not a do or die. The next one is, can you do a meet and greet in Abuja? You are an inspiration to me, ma'am. I'll do one soon. Don't worry. I'll announce the date. Okay, so the next one is from Na Afrok, and it's, when are you visiting Ghana? I actually came to Ghana in 2018, but I didn't stay for long. I'll try and come back. Don't worry. So the next one is from Chisom Joyce Okafor, and she says one name Kekime. That's all I want to know. I'm really fine. One name Kekime in Igbo. So one name Kekime in English translates to, my sister, how are you? And I'm fine. Thank you so much for asking. This one is from Nzubem Asir, when she says, how do you go about dating so you don't get into wrong hands? And guys, I feel like there really is. It's just for you to be smart. First of all, be smart. There are things that the kind of wrong hands that you fall into that I feel like the signs, the flags were all there from the beginning, right? However, some people are very, very good at presenting themselves as what they are not, right? And then if you end up finding a situation where somebody kind of sold themselves as something else and they start changing, then you just learn from that. I think that more than anything, instead of worrying about getting into the wrong hands, because if you keep worrying about that, then there's a probability that you might not get into any hands at all. More than anything, I'd just say to always know what you're worth and know that you should be willing to leave and not to make excuses or try to rationalize bad behavior to the point of like just self-harm. I think that's the important thing here. So the next one is from Nikki _ Adays. Did you ever think you'll be famous? No. The next one is, will you marry an Igbo man? I don't know. I'm not going to die on that hill. Like, I'm not. When I was a lot younger, I used to be like, oh, it has to be an Igbo man. I'm not thinking like that anymore. I am not. And it is because maybe I was thinking about that because maybe I grew up in Enugu and that was all I knew. More than anything, you want somebody who likes you, who loves you. And I'm also saying this because I've heard of very terrible stories in recent times. I'm not going to get into so much details, but I've heard of situations where people I know were in relationship, especially Igbo girls, because this can be such a big thing in Igbo land, where it's like we're told that we cannot bring any other. And I feel like every tribe does it. We're kind of tribalistic here anyways. But I know that I've seen some of my friends in relationship with men that were not Igbo. And then when it came to marriage, family didn't agree. They ended up marrying someone who was Igbo. And then the marriage now falls apart, or the person starts showing them pepper. And then this other person who was really ready to marry them was just there. The only thing that disqualified him was tribe. That's just very... just ruling somebody off based on that is very myopic. So the next one is from Azomta.0, and she's, are you in a good place? Are you in a good place? Are you in a good space at the moment, mentally, emotionally, physically? I think I am. Thank you so much for asking. This is a very thoughtful question. Guys, there's still so many questions, but I cannot answer everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed. I'll do more of these, so please look out for them, like questions on my Instagram. Like whenever I ask, just fill in the box, I'll answer your question. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. I'll see you in my next one.